Hello all and welcome to this year's Women Techmakers Conference in Vienna. It's the first time that we are doing that online. And why we are doing that online, we are dividing this conference in 2 days. So we have one session today of 3 hours, and tomorrow again, we have a 3 to 4 hour session together with you. The theme for this year's conference is Together We Rise. And well, you maybe know that originally our conference should have taken place in March. And well, for obvious reasons, it was cancelled. So personally, I think this theme, Together We Rise, has a kind of prophetic touch, right? So relax, sit down, grab a beverage, grab a drink, grab a glass of wine, grab a beer, whether when you are in this part of the world where the after work hour has already started. My name is Cornelia Reuter, and I will be your host for this 2 days conference. While we wait a little bit for all our guests to enter, I would like to give you some general information about Women Tech Makers for those who are not so familiar with us. So this conference in Vienna takes place already the 7th time. It is part of an international event series, which, as I said, normally takes place in March around International Women's Day. And this event series is initiated by Google, whose goal it is to make women in tech more visible. The goal is to raise awareness of gender equality and of diversity issues in STEM. And well, these are always so huge words, and the question is always, but how do you raise awareness? And what we do is that we believe in the power of example. We try to focus on the accomplishments of technologists that also happen to be women, and we bring them on stage like we are doing it today. So, well, having said that, I have to point out that without our sponsors, this whole conference couldn't take place at all. This year's sponsors are Willhaben, AIT, which is the Austrian Institute of Technology, and Cloudflight. And they are not only our sponsors, they are also believing in us, they are supporting us, and they are also taking an active part in today's conference. And I'm about to talk that in a bit. Now, coming back, I see that, some more guests have joined. Hello and welcome also to you. I think that we are, now that we are a little more people, it's a good time to tell you how the conference is structured, like how we set up this whole online setting. And by saying that, I would initially like to focus on our code of conduct. So the code of conduct we are also having in force in our online conference, not only in our live conference. This conference should be a safe place for everyone. That means that we do not discriminate based on ethnic background, on religion, on gender, you name it. And we do not tolerate any harassment. And now, and you can read that with me together, all attendees, speakers, sponsors, volunteers, and Women Tech Makers are required that the code of conduct will be enforced throughout the whole event. And we do rely on your help to make it as comfortable as possible for everyone. That means if at a certain point of the conference, any one of you feels unsafe or feels harassed, please, please, please reach out to us, come to us and let us know so that we can handle the situation. Well, back to the, let's say, organizational technical stuff. We have our stream running on YouTube, where you hopefully see us right now. And all the talks that you're going to hear today, like the talks itself, they are pre-recorded to make the technical issues, to mitigate them a little bit. The positive side is that you do have the possibility to read the captions on YouTube. So make sure that you have enabled the subtitles on YouTube itself. And if you can't see the captions for any reasons, just please look into the YouTube description. There you will find a link directly to the captions. Those of you who registered to our conference have received an email with a link to our Discord channel, and you can see the link either down here or also down there on the left. This is our Discord server that we have set up, and I'm giving you a little walkthrough to, well, explain to you how it works. So, very important, you don't have to create your own Discord account to enter here and to join us. Just click on the link, type a name, and you're gonna be there on the welcome page. Here you can read again the code of conduct, and you have all the important links available. Our aim was to set up the Discord channel as flexible as you would have had it in a conference which would take place onshore. That means our Discord server gives you the possibility to decide wherever you want to be during the conference. We have some general information channels, general information, announcement, where our organization team might write to you at certain points, like it happened already. We have an off-topic channel because, well, when you have a conference lasting for some hours, you might not only think about women and technology. We have a networking channel because Women Tech Makers has always been about the vibes, about the communications going on there. So feel free to jump into this channel to write something about you, what's your background, where you're coming from, maybe what you're looking for or whether you're looking for jobs. I do see here that Lana has already introduced herself. And then please look down there. That's the part you will see. We have one channel dedicated to each talk. That means while our talk is streaming, you can go to this channel and ask the questions you would normally ask in a conference. You can start discussions, post there whatever you want. And whenever the next speaker is on stage, you can either remain in the other channel because you're in an interesting discussion, or you can move with the speaker to the dedicated channel. And here, because I mentioned earlier that our sponsors are taking an active part here, we do have channels dedicated to each sponsor. We have AIT, Willhaben, and Cloudflight. And from AIT, we have AIT itself has Anna Maria in the channel, Willhaben has Anna and Verena there, and Cloudflight has Marian there. And they are really looking forward to hearing from you. Just go into their channel if you are interested in their company. Of course, if you are interested in jobs there, but also if you just want to ask them about their company, what they are doing, whatever you like. So that was it. That looks really easy, right? Just again, click on the Discord link and join us. Also, we have two moderators in our Discord channel. These are Lana and Elisa. They are moderating the channels overall. But again, if you have any problems, if you don't feel safe, just let them know and point them. If you are active on social media, and if you want to talk about today's event, down there you find the hashtags. It's hashtag WTM VIE 2020. Gosh, that's a tongue breaker. VTMV 2020 and hashtag Together We Rise. I would love to read from you. Well, next important point, what are we going to do today? That means that we are going to talk about our agenda. Let me show it to you. Here it is. So here it is. Important thing. You can look at our schedule, of course, on our website, wherever you want to. We have a break between each talk because we know it is online. Video streams are always very, they are energy consuming and it's hot, so we need breaks and we're gonna have them. Today we're gonna start with the keynote by Timea Tordeyan, which will be about the question, why do we need belonging? Then Uma Hamid will talk about her career transition, find your fit and make the move. Then we're gonna have a talk about the topic, how artificial intelligence is enhancing journalism by Caroline Stransky. And then we're gonna reach, I would say, the highlight of today's conference, which is our panel discussion about the topic diversity and inclusion. And tomorrow we're going to start early in the morning for those who want to have breakfast together with us. That will be the possibility for you to meet the whole organization team, to talk with each other, because we're gonna have that in an audio channel on Discord. So if you are already in Discord, you're gonna see on your left side a channel which is named Breakfast. That's where you're gonna meet each other tomorrow. Feel free to share your breakfast and to eat it. That's why we called it that way. And for those who wanna sleep a little longer, the real beginning of the conference will be at 9:30 with a talk about superwomen in engineering. So I'm not going to read tomorrow's agenda to you. You can read it by yourself, and I imagine that you have already read it. We're going to go through it in detail tomorrow, of course, again. What I would like to do right now is, in the last minutes before we start, I would like to get to know you a little better. Because normally, I could see all of you in a conference hall, and I can't see you today. So we're gonna do a short question and answer together on Discord. And it will work like that. We all go into the general channel that we have available. I will ask a question and post it there. And I would like you, and I would like to encourage you to answer by using the emoji. So the first question I'm interested in is actually, is it your first time that you're joining a Women Techmakers Vienna conference? Then give me a thumb up on Discord. Or have you already been there? Just hover over the question with your mouse, and on the right angle of the question, you're gonna see the button for the emoji reactions. Okay. Wow, balance. Okay. So we almost have a balance between new guests and those who know us already. That's interesting. Little more new ones. Cool. Hi to you. Other question, because we have to grab the advantage of doing it online. So I assume that many of you are not in Vienna, but I would be really interested in, are you sitting in Vienna right now, or are you somewhere else? Let's see what comes out. Wow, so many of you sitting in Vienna. That's nice. Well, I love Vienna. What should I say? If you are somewhere else, feel free to write it in the channel, or maybe look for the flag in the emojis, which indicates the region you are there. Woo, Portland. Hi to Portland. Last question for today. Let me copy and paste the question to the channel so that you can read it also. So, well, we all know that it is Friday evening, and I want to know, are you really looking forward to our talks, or would you rather go out and party? Yes, those are the right answers. Of course, you're looking forward to our talks. I knew it. For those who are not on Discord yet and can't see it, everyone said that she's looking forward to the talks and no one wants to go out right now. It's way too hot outside anyway. Well, that's it from my side, almost. Again, I would like to remind you of our hashtags, hashtag VTMV2020 and hashtag Together We Rise if you want to post about us on social media. And now we are starting with our keynote, and I would like to introduce a little bit the speaker, because it's our very own Timia Tordean. She's a data knowledge engineer, but I say that it's our very own Timia Tordean because she happens to be the co-founder of Women Techmakers Vienna. And beside her job, she actually lately focused on topics like diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And she's in the process of building up her own company. And her keynote will be mostly about that, I guess. I haven't heard it till now in the new version. So please, Timea, the stage is yours.
Hi, my name is Timea and I used to work in IT. I have a degree in computer science and started working as an intern software developer back in 2008. Later, I worked as a technical consultant and as a backend developer. A rather normal 12-year career path, I would say. At about the same time, in 2007 to be exact, I started joining student organizations and volunteering for different reasons. I learned a lot about myself in a multicultural environment, working with people from different cultures and nationalities. I helped companies find IT students. I was responsible to motivate teams, to mentor, and to coach. It was a really fun time of my life. And in the last 7 years, I feel honored to be part of the amazing Women Tech Makers team, which I helped grow and foster locally. As you can see, I was living a double professional life in the past 13 years. The question I ask myself lately is why? I mean, yes, at the beginning you could say that I was doing just this just to try stuff out, but it continued for 13 years. So why? The answer is because of my need to feel I belong to a group of people and that I can be myself in this group of people. In volunteering, I found a community of like minded people. I found friends and I could grow and learn a lot of new things. I could be myself 100%, silly, emotional, caring, friendly, without ever having these traits interpreted as weaknesses. When we are born, we are part of a family, a community, a place. We are an integral part of that context. In Women Tech Makers Vienna, I was part of several teams. And together we strive for equality and diversity in STEM regardless of gender. These are just some of the amazing people I met that I can call my friends. We are genetically wired to belong. We are born to be social and to belong to a group of people. And we are not shy to display this when we are part of such a group. We wear branded clothing, we put stickers on laptops, we talk in different certain ways, we use slang, we have a dedicated name. We have a group identity that we help shape and maintain. And still, why did I have a double professional life? The truth is, it's personal and it has to do a lot with the fact that I'm a woman in IT. And to better understand, let's take a look at the Situation of women in IT in Austria. On this slide, the numbers that you see here about women in IT in Austria are under the Europe averages. From the number of people that work in IT, 17% are women. And this 17% represents 0.3% of the Austrian population, at least back in 2018. And now ask yourselves, how many people use IT daily in Austria? For browsing, for using software to work, for mobile apps for entertainment. Can you imagine your period tracker app being developed only by men? Would you trust it? Can your company develop a successful product for a dedicated target group if you do not have employees that represent the target group? Of course, this goes beyond gender and nationality and religion. You can follow the thought process here. It's already been proven that a diverse team just performs better. It's actually 8 times more likely for you to achieve your business outcomes. It is 6 times more likely to be innovative and agile. These are just some of the findings reported by Deloitte in May last year. The problem that I want to actually draw attention to is that 56% of women who made it and work in IT leave the domain mid-career. Contrary to popular opinion, women are not exiting these careers primarily for family concerns. 56%. I find this to be very upsetting because the little women we actually manage, for example, through Women Techmakers Vienna, to channel to STEM careers, end up leaving them anyway mid-career. So let me tell you about the best development team that I was part of. When I joined the team, there were 4 women out of 9 total members, and the team had a female tech lead. It was pretty uncommon, especially when I look back at my previous jobs or university experience. I even felt odd at times being in a 50% female development team, but it was good odd. The problem is that people started leaving soon, men and women. The technical lead left, a good friend developer left, a front end joined and left after a couple of months, a tester left, and I also left. In 1 year, the team lost 50% of people and 80% were females. This is not uncommon, especially in IT. If I look back on my IT jobs and why I left them, I noticed there's a pattern. I always wanted more responsibility and trust. I wanted to work more hours. I wanted to be involved in bigger projects. I wanted to become a leader. Besides this, there were also other aspects. I just had too many examples of bad leadership examples. I've seen conflicts, miscommunication, frustration, and disappointment. It was also about self-development options which were non-existent or very hard to negotiate for. This I found to be in line with what Deloitte Austria reported last year. The number one reason why people switch companies, both in Austria and globally, is because of bad leadership. Other reasons are lack of career development, too little flexibility of work, and lack of diversity in teams. If one looks at the Austrian economy, approximately 94% of the founded companies have up to 9 employees. And the reason that people found companies, at least in the last 2 years, was because they just simply wanted to be their own boss and to work flexible. So I find a certain correlation in these findings. I personally decided to pursue entrepreneurship too. For me, entrepreneurship ensures that I do not experience yet again another bad leadership example. That I can work flexible wherever and whenever I want. And also that I can learn a lot of new things. It just makes sense. I mean, I also tried. With the knowledge that I had, I really tried to find that one company where I can reach my full potential. Every time I switched jobs, I was full of hope, and I always told my friends, this is the company that I'm gonna stay for a longer period. I'm gonna try my best. Switching jobs is very tedious. It takes a lot of time and energy from a person. You work full time, and then you go home, you have to update your CV, you have to research companies, you have to apply, you have to write motivation letters, you have to adjust your CV, you have to apply again, you have to go to interviews. Sometimes you have to take a few days off to fly to assessment centers just to come back home, be more tired. It's just not fun. If you're lucky, you, yes, can be headhunted and can skip a few of the steps. But I mean, I did not join an IT uh, domain because I want to switch jobs every 2, 3, or 4 years. So, what does all this have to do with belonging? And most importantly, how can we attempt to lower this 56%? As an example, at a previous job I had, where I was the only woman on the team and the youngest, I did not wait for anyone to solve inclusion for me, nor to make me feel I belong. I leaned in. I started speaking up in meetings, which ended up in my bad habit of talking over other people just to be able to voice my own opinion. I asked for feedback so much that my team started to be annoyed. I actively asked for more responsibility, but in the end, I was just named an unmanageable employee. I like to actively suggest ways to improve team efficiency and processes, but in the end, they were just not valued enough. And finally, I specifically started to um, mention that I want to develop towards a leadership position. And I was told that I'm not a team player, I don't fit in the management team. I always believed I can handle any job change because I'm creating my own environment. I'm friendly and easygoing. I can spark a conversation easily with any kind of a colleague. I love to organize social events, cross departmental, because all this because I love to work in a collaborative environment. And in each job position that I had, I'm lucky that I collected a lot of friends. And still, the IT work environment is not the one that I can bring my 100% authentic persona. And along the time, I noticed some traits that now sometimes I live at home. For example, me being silly is not seen as a leadership quality. Me being friendly is not seen as a quality for a thought decision maker. Me being a young looking ambitious woman on the team of only men is definitely not seen as the most competent in the team, and so on. And at the end of the day, it's not even about this constant proving yourself as a woman in a tech environment, which is really energy draining and useless. For me personally, it's just about being valued, having the feeling that after being in 1 year at a job, when I choose to speak up, that people listen to my opinion. And if my opinion is not okay, then I get feedback and I can work on it. I can adjust for the next round of discussions. It was also a lot about this feeling of constantly hitting the wall. It was just the perfect setup for feeling unvalued and unwelcome. And motivation can only keep you going for so long, and salary increases can also keep you going for so long. Am I just crazy to want a workplace where I can pour my heart into, which also lets me do that? Companies started noticing these aspects more and more and started pouring money into topics such as employee experience, employee engagement, diversity, and inclusion. But their solutions don't really work. I mean, what can you do when you drive your employees to the point of not caring anymore? It's difficult. So how do I make sure when I switch jobs that I get in a better environment? Truth be told, I don't have a complete solution. I just know about myself that I thrive in more inclusive environments where people treat people with common sense and where people are reminded that appreciation, feedback, and admitting one's biases and limits is the best kind of environment. So usually I look for these several aspects. I'm looking for places where I can be heard in my own unique way. I look for places where people are treated not how I want to be treated, but how they want to be treated. I look for organizations where the culture is not pushed upon me in a cultural assimilation way, but an environment where I can contribute to the culture and influence it by adding to it. This would not be an issue if, for example, at the beginning, there would be a better fit between my values and what the company culture is really like. If you ask yourself at this point, what can you do to change your environment? Start with yourself. Be open and ask uncomfortable questions. Have those hard conversations about culture, religion, and all the differences that you have with your colleagues. Be patient, respectful, and actively listen when they answer to you. Be vulnerable and admit, yes, I do not know your entire history, or I do not understand this. Please explain it from your perspective. And most important, be an ally for someone who cannot speak up when a wrongdoing happens. Step up for your colleagues that cannot. For example, you could use phrases such as, this behavior is not okay. This was inappropriate. Please do not interrupt my colleague when she is speaking. Let's involve also other people who did not have the chance to speak yet in this meeting, and so on. At the end of the day, diversity and inclusion are just buzzwords, and they should actually just be called common sense. Common sense should be a buzzword. And now, just imagine the outcomes we could achieve if we create more inclusive work environments. People would not be concerned 25% of their time with fitting in. I would not have to switch jobs every 2, 3, or 4 years, uh, so the IT domain wouldn't have such a high turnover. And employees would just feel more engaged and happy at work altogether. It's a win-win situation both for employees and for the companies and communities they choose to be part of. So let's go back to my story of belonging and my double professional life. I just want to say that the confidence in my skills that I started to lose when I worked in IT, I regained through Women Techmakers Vienna. And not just regained, but I have discovered my passion for uh, being part of a positive change. It's empowered me. I mentioned that I recently moved to entrepreneurship. Together with my partner Ioana, we are working to build a social enterprise where the positive impact is in the center of the business idea. Throughout this journey, we talked to a lot of people just to understand better the outcomes that I presented to you. And we started working on a solution for this epidemic of workplace exclusion. Belonging is our solution for all the 56% of women who could have stayed in IT but instead had to leave. And it's also for all the women and men that are considering switching their IT jobs yet again. We discovered that the first step towards finding the workplace where you belong is to be matched with a company that shares your values. On the website belonging.work, you will find a couple of questions that help us do just this for you. It is just the start of the solution. And we will try our best to find the company that fits for you the best. What I learned from being part of communities is that together we can make a positive change. And I want us to show that together uh, we can influence organizations to prioritize better solutions for these problems. We believe the future workplace is a place where people are given the freedom to pursue their interests and passions to find fulfillment. Thank you very much and have a great conference. Together we rise.
Thank you, Timia. Would you like to join me here for a short question and answer? Yes, you do. Hi.
Yes. Hi. Hi. Hi, everybody.
You are still sitting in the Black Forest, right?
Yes, I have the same background as you can see.
It's a very lovely one. I like it. Well, let's dive into it, right? I mentioned it
Yes.
before that I saw your previous talk, like this, like the version you had prepared for March originally, and this one, well, it was very different, and you started to focus a lot on your company for obvious reasons, I guess. But I was also wondering the whole Corona situation and the lockdown situation and the suddenly changing working environment. How did this situation influence your idea about bringing up your own company?
Mm, well, to be honest, um, a lot has changed since March and also due to the pandemic. And first of all, I had more time to think about my passions and what I want to do in the next years. And the circumstance just somehow helped me decide that I want to pursue entrepreneurship. And so this happened actually at the end of March, beginning of April. Um, so yeah, actually, I feel like a lot has happened. I wanted still, and I kept on the point of the whole aspect of belonging because I am very interested in the topic of diversity and inclusion. And according to research, and also the trend, the newest like aspect to this is the whole question about uh, people being social and this need of belonging to a group of people. So that the title didn't change, but I had just more time to research on the topic, to be honest. And one point led to the other, like the whole aspect about how many women work in IT in Austria. I didn't have the numbers concretely beforehand. And it just, the whole story got more concrete. And it also helped me to find out a dedicated problem that I want to help solve. And that's what we're doing with the business idea. So, yeah, a lot has changed since March, and Corona helped me in that aspect because I just had more time to think about this. Um, and in general, I had more time to research the topic.
Yeah, we saw that. I think that you mentioned a lot more numbers than in the previous versions, and I do like numbers. In our chat, you get a lot of congratulations. Joanna is saying that she especially loved the part, "We are genetically wired to belong. Wish you good luck." And
Thank you,
talking
Joanna.
talking about that, we are genetically wired to belonging. I would like to ask another question. You mentioned your business partner, who is obviously a woman, and I was wondering, how important was it for you to find a woman as a business partner, and how did you find her?
um, the fact that she is also a woman like me is just, I suppose, a coincidence. We don't want to make this solution only for women. So it's for all genders, basically, that have this problem of finding a company where they fit completely and they don't have to change the company so often. And I think this is going beyond gender anyhow. Um, However, I'm not entirely sure that I would have had the courage to start if I wouldn't know my partner, and she's also called Ioana. We used to go to school together, and we started from the same place, from the same. We have the same background, basically. Our families are very similar. So for me, it was more of a match on the value level, that we have the same values. Because for me, that ensures that we have um, our team better formed from the beginning, from the get-go. That doesn't mean that we don't have to work on, the whole team aspect per se. And the other aspect is that she just completes me skill-wise, right? So I'm like more coming from the IT, computer science, now doing an MBA in general management, while Ioana had a total different career path. She went into research, postdoc, doing a postdoc in US, right? And she's coming more from the business administration aspect. And I was especially drawn to her research because she did
Timea, we are losing you connection-wise.
on remote work, for example. I thought I lost
Now
you for a
you,
second.
yeah, we did lose you, but now you're back again.
So I was just
I
saying
hope.
that she completes me skill wise, and I was very curious what she did um, in her research, working on topics like remote work and global collaboration in global companies. And I think that com- remote work is very strong topic at the moment. Diversity and inclusion is could not function without communication, and she has these angles, this knowledge that we grow together also knowledge wise. So it just happened that she is a woman as well.
Cool. I would also like to ask you a little bit about Women Tech Makers because you are a co-founder. Do you did the Corona time also give you time to think about how you want to proceed with Women Tech Makers? What is your vision with Women Tech Makers?
um, I always go from year to year strategy wise, and I always say that I'm trying to feel the pulse of the community and in which direction they want to go with us. But to be really, really honest, I think the main people that I listen to are the people in the organizing team. I listen mostly to their experiences and what they want to have as content, as topics, as you name it at the conference. I basically just navigate a bit around it. Concretely, for example, I have to admit, some of our sponsor partners fell through because of the Corona situation. And then I made the proposal that, okay, if we cannot showcase so many sponsors as companies, then let's just mm, take a step back and go back to what Women Tech Makers was initially about, which is showcasing local communities, NGOs, and local opportunities. And so, since about a month, we shifted strategy, and on our website, for example, you find this huge sections where we link to the local communities that do such a wonderful job to help women in STEM careers, each in their own unique way, and some of them will actually get on stage between our talks. So it was actually something that was decided because of the context, but long term, I don't know. I'm just every year amazed how how self-sustaining the whole team is. So I'm like 100% that like confident that, for example, if I take now a step back and I focus more on my business idea, Women Techmakers Vienna will be still amazing and pulsating and growing in the right direction, because the people behind it is just not just me. Like, I'm just a tiny person in there in the team. Every single one of you just make it amazing, and you bring in uh, most of all this what does the community need.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for saying that. Also, thank you very much for doing this Q&A with us. And you already said the correct keywords. We are going to have a break now, the first break. And in every break, we're gonna show you some videos, either from our sponsors, but from all these partners and local network communities that Timia mentioned. So
yes, make sure to check them out. They're really doing amazing work, and we always look to showcase new initiatives, which we have already also on the website. And last thing that I want to mention is it is not a given that I was invited to the keynote. I ended up doing the keynote because my main organizer, Mehik, invited me to do it, and she had the okay from the team as well. So thank you for the trust, first of all, dear team, and I hope I hope we have together a nice conference.
we will.
Okay. Thanks, Connie. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Timia. See you. And let's go into our first break, I would say. We deserve it.
My name is Evelyn and I'm working as a product manager.
Hi, I'm Marina. I'm working in the UX and product design department.
My name is Silvia. I'm the general manager of Willhaben.
My name is Patricia. I am an iOS developer.
I'm Natalie. I'm an HR team coach here at Willhaben.
Willhaben is a digital marketplace where a lot of people buy and sell their stuff. You can check nearly everything on Willhaben. Clothes, you can buy your car there or get your first flat, and you also can find your job.
I started at Willhaben 2017 as a junior iOS developer. 2019 I became team lead of the mobile team. Now I'm the tribe lead of the search tribe. I'm responsible for a huge team, so we are 15 people inside the team. As a tribe lead, I have one-on-one, so shoe fixes with each tribe member. I'm in contact with our product management to organize the roadmap and the projects.
I started working at Willhaben in 2013 and I started as a member of user support and then switched to customer support. And during that time, the product development and product management was always really fascinating for me. So then 2.5 years ago, I got the chance to really start also in this department. And I have to say, I finally got where I really wanted to be because I couldn't imagine a more interesting job for me right now.
My role in the team, I'm the team lead. I started as like a product designer. I was the only person, and over time work got much more. So we needed a bigger team. And what I really like now is that I have fantastic team members who still need some feedback from my side, but also work independently. And I really see them growing and evolving to really great UX designers. And I really like to help them, but I also get so much back from them from stuff they know I don't know. So it's like giving and taking at the same moment.
HR team coach here at Willhaben is very similar to what a Scrum Master is. So it's a lot about doing workshops with the teams, helping the teams with their daily challenges, removing impediments, doing trainings, everything, whatever serves the team to become better.
I have meetings. Whole day meetings. Finally, it is a lot of meetings and communication that I'm mostly occupied with. So I try to be the person that is putting the things together and helping out where it's needed. So I have always special focus on areas where there is something very special going on. Maybe we make new strategy, or we have higher investments, or we work on a budget. We have meetings all day.
I've been working here for 7 years, which is a really long time for a person working in a tech company. But here I really feel at home. I really like the product itself, but also working with my colleagues. We are at now, I think, 250 people, so it's medium-sized, big. And what I really like is not just a job, it's also some sort of family. I have friends here in the office, so it's not just going to a 9-to-5 job, it's more being part of a greater thing for me. It's fun to go to work, and I also learn every day. When I started 7 years ago, I knew different things, other things, and now I know so much more.
I'm here for 10 years now. I really love working at Willhaben. I can't imagine anything better than this, to be honest. It's a combination of two things. The purpose that is behind our product, and the other thing is the people. I like every single person that is around here.
What I really like here is that they are so curious. So when I bring a new idea to them as an HR coach, a small training to, I don't know, introduce some tool or methods. There is never this like, I don't know if this will work or something like this. Everybody's like, yeah, we could try this out. Let's try it next sprint. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay, but that's maybe too fast. So people are really eager to try things and to experiment about them.
There is a huge bandwidth what you can do, and also try new technologies, open your mind and do some new stuff.
I think that women often underestimate themselves, and in my case, I came to tech and I came from a completely different part. And if you want to do something, if you're really curious about something, you just have to try it and do it and encourage yourself. And if you work hard and if you're curious, it will definitely work.
One thing that I really like about this whole tech area, it's complex, but if you try to think out of the box, if you're open-minded and if you're okay with trying completely new things, then it can be very challenging, but then in the end also very rewarding.
If someone told you you cannot do it, just do it because you can.
Even if you just finished university or you have been in the tech industry for a couple of years, don't be shy and afraid that you're maybe not capable of doing things. I didn't know everything when I started here. It was just like learning on the job. And this is something Willhaben really offers to you. You just have to come as a person, be interested, be curious, and the rest will happen at Willhaben.
I would just love to encourage everyone, go for the challenge, try it, be brave. Most of the time you grow with what you're doing.
Reach out to any peeps or folks that we have. We really are happy to answer any questions. And
that's my message.
So we are back from the break. I hope you took the time and drove down and had a drink or whatsoever. Actually, I was the one who had a drink because I can't drink while I'm talking, but you can drink all the time. So, I don't know how closely you watched this Wilhelm video, but there was a member of our organization team in it, but I won't tell you who it was. Maybe you're going to find out at a certain point. Our first talk for this day, like not the keynote, the so to say real first talk, will be by Huma Hamid, and she will give her talk about her career transition, and she called the talk Find Your Fit and Make the Move. She will basically talk a lot about mentoring and sponsorship and how you can find your own way and how you can pursue your goals and your wishes when it comes to career transitions. Huma is a technical program manager at Cisco, and for me, even more interesting, she's the co-founder of Pakistani Women in Computing, which is a US-based nonprofit organization. And beside that, because that's not enough, she's also part of several STEM communities. Well, please, let's begin. Yuma, we will put online your video.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this really exciting session organized by Women Techmakers Austria. My name is Huma Hamid, and I'm a technical program manager and also the co-founder and former president of a global STEM community and a nonprofit organization called Pakistani Women in Computing here in the US. Today's session is focused on something that is very close to my heart. It's a framework for navigating career transition in tech. And I will introduce you to this framework that I have used in my career and have also validated it through experiences of my other colleagues and friends who have done similar transition backed by literature to see how you can successfully structure your career transition move in a more goal-oriented way. So let's get started. My personal educational and career journey is spanned over 15 years. Just like Sheryl Sandberg said, it was more of a career as a jungle gym and not as a ladder. I started my education in technology in 2001 and graduated in 2005. After that, I decided to break into in the industry and took a year between deciding if I wanted to pursue a master's or not. For master's, I decided to go to the UK, and that's where I did my master's in information systems management. After completing my studies in London, I decided to go back to Pakistan and started or relaunched my career once again as a software quality analyst. During that time, I realized that I was not able to find the job that I was looking for, or I was really passionate about different areas or domains, but I was able to find a really good starting career journey or a really good environment where I was thriving. While I was doing really good in that job, a series of life events happened, and I moved to the US 10 years ago. When I came here, once again I relaunched myself and joined the tech industry as a test engineer. And then in the past 10 years, I've already transitioned through 3 different job roles in 3 different companies just within the US. So overall, my career journey has spanned 15 years, and during that time, I have lived and worked in 3 different countries, 5 different companies, and 5 different job roles. Just like many other women who think who believe that they're supposed to know where they're going and that there's one right path to follow to get there. I also thought that I should know where I'm going and what I will be doing next in my career or where my career is going. But every single time I got comfortable in doing what I was doing, something happened, and I decided to change. So the audience of this talk can be, it's well suited for people who are either early in their career or they are in mid-career and they are not satisfied with what they are doing, or there is something in their life that has happened that they are now considering changing a, a career. So when we talk about career transition, it can has many different meanings. However, in the context of today's talk, what we are discussing here is changing job families, or the process of changing job families within the same industry, and in this case, it's tech. And it's becoming increasingly common for people to transition a job family, within the same industry. And most of the time, these transitions are driven by skills-based strength or learning, and less by what you are really good at technically. One of the surveys or studies conducted by United States Department of Labor recently showed that an average American worker will hold a dozen jobs between age 18 and 15. Now, this doesn't show that how many career transition they will do within tech, or if the study was not focused on that, but it definitely indicated that people want to grow, or they want to transition, or they want to change, even when they are during the early and then throughout the career life cycle. So before you consider changing or you consider transitioning, it's also important to understand what are the different factors or different triggers that can lead to that transition. And if you are one of, if you are seeing one of those triggers and you are considering transition, that may be the right move for you to do that. So it's really important to understand the why part. There are 4 different triggers that has contributed to my career transition, and that's what I would like to share. And you may find other people doing, changing careers because of that. There is an evolution part. For example, our economy is it's going through an evolution right now because of COVID. We're all working from home, so there are opportunities where building products, building technologies that enable that evolution. There's also an industry evolution part. So robotics, artificial intelligence, AR, VR, machine learning, all of these new trends and technologies, they're also changing the direction in which, we are evolving. Then there can be companies, for example, there can be a company that is more hardware oriented, but they decided to become more software oriented. So these are the different ways in which things around you are changing. Then there can be environmental factors, like if you are working in a company, there are different or within your team and organization, there are different opportunities that are coming up and things are changing around you in the environment that you're already in. Then and they have a direct impact on you that can also lead to you considering for a transition. The third one is a very important one. If you have been working in tech for not for long, or if you're just starting and you're not really enjoying what you're doing anymore, and or there's something else that is capturing your interest, it's called personal growth. So you want to grow in a specific direction, or you want to learn something different and then grow into doing that. That there's an element of personal growth, and that can also trigger a career transition. The last one is something that is more event based. So in my case, there's a series of events in my life. Like I've moved to different countries for family reasons. I got married. I started a family. So all of those major life events also uh, dictated or influenced my the way I was looking at my career, and then I started shifting or diverting from what I was doing into orienting or pivoting into something that was very different from my original career path. So the framework that I'm sharing here is called finding your fit and making the move. So finding your fit and making the move, it was a personal journey of my career transition. When I shared a similar journey with one of my friends who has also gone through different transition in her career journey, but there were so many similarities in the way we approached, in the way we took actions, in the way we made decisions, and the steps that we took, that we decided to build a framework around it. And we also validated some of the things that we are proposing here, how you can approach your career transition, backed by literature that already exists. What we are proposing that you can use your soft skill as the primary driver for change. So if you're already working in tech, then identifying what your soft skills are and then relying on that to make a career transition can be a really successful move if you know what you're trying to do. So let's see. So the first really important thing here is finding the fit, or finding what you're interested in. There are 3 steps that are part of that, like finding your fit. The first one is becoming self-aware and knowing what your strengths are. Becoming self-aware. The second one is doing a self-assessment on your soft skills. And the third one is aligning some time-bound goals with some tangible opportunities. So the self-awareness and self-assessment part includes knowing your strengths, be it your knowledge strengths, knowing your skills and your abilities, and then also finding out what are the things in your current job that you really like, and what are the things that you do not like about your job. What are the things that are your accomplishments and you're really proud of them? And where do you struggle most when you're working on something? These can help you identify what where your top soft skills are. And that can make you really self-aware. And that self-awareness can lead you to choose the next career path for yourself if you're still in that, if you're still in that stage where you do not know where you want to go next, then self-awareness and self-assessment of your top soft skills will help you fill that gap. It's also proven by research that your top soft skills will make you more fulfilled at work, and you can become a rockstar performer versus knowing something technically. So you enjoy more when your soft side is fulfilled and you perform better than your peers. Once you know what your assessment is and you're self-aware and you know your key strengths, then it's important that you align your abilities and your interests and your values that you're really, really passionate about with a job role that already exists there. So knowing that job role and learning about the requirements will set you towards filling that gap if there are any learning and experience gap. So if you are someone who really enjoys building product and defining what we should be building, and you are a software developer right now, then knowing that from the journey from how to build is from what to build, what will it take? Like what are the requirements of the new job? And then mapping your existing profile with that job requirement will help you learn what are the learning and experience gaps that you have. So based on that, you can work on filling those learning gaps. It can be through taking courses, taking classes, taking certifications, taking some, going back to school, a different combination of those. So that will help you fill the learning gap. And after that, you can always take some extra projects, extra assignment, volunteer work to fill the experience gap. Once you do that, in the meantime, also explore opportunities within the company that, the role that you want to go into. It's always easier to transition internally than transition externally. So there are internal and external job opportunities that are available. So start exploring those. Once you find your fit, you know where you want to go, you know what it looks like, what you want to become, then it's the time to make the move. So making the move part or that stage requires four different components: network, expressing your interest in new opportunities to your network, and then preparing for the role, and then finally switching to that new role. A well known saying is network is your net worth, which means having a network of peers, of mentors, of sponsors, of a community who has already done that, or they are willing to support you in doing what you are trying to do, can really help you accelerate your learning and growth. So that network can fast track you on the path of transition. I cannot emphasize more than having the power of communities. So there are already several different communities that you will find with special interest groups, with special people, people in a specialized domain, be it software development or front end development or product management or machine learning or artificial intelligence, any of those areas or job roles that interest you. There are already communities out there that have people who are either trying to transition or they have already transitioned, and people are very open to share their experiences and knowledge with you, just like we are doing right now as part of Women Tech Makers. So it's important that you tap into that community power. Also, find people who are already in that job role, connect with them, show what you're willing to do, and express your interest. It's really important to express your interest. So if you're looking for transition, sitting in isolation and just thinking about it will not get you where you want to go. So expressing your interest in new opportunities internally and externally to your network, to your manager, can be really, really helpful. Both times when I transitioned from software test engineer to a software engineer role, and then from software engineering to a product management role, I was doing learning outside of my company or my, where I was working, but I still expressed interest in transition to both my managers. And both times they didn't have an opportunity right there and then, but they had me on the list. And when a new project opened, they added me to that project as a team member, and that was a really good opportunity for me to get into that and accelerate my learning and grow from there. The next one is opportunity favors the prepared. Once you know the position that you are interested in, it's really important that you prepare your resume, your LinkedIn, and also an elevator pitch that might include why are you transitioning, to prepare yourself for the job opportunity, because you do not know when those opportunities are presented to you. So being prepared is a really good starting point. Having an online portfolio, especially if you're in transition and you have not done something before, can set you apart from other candidates who are also thinking about transitioning. So if you are thinking about becoming a software developer, contributing to open source, volunteering, freelancing, or some of these are taking side projects, shadow assignments. Some of these, there's these ways to enhance your learning and enhancing your experience, and also publishing and showing what you're learning. As a designer, it's you can use some of those places where you can build your portfolio. If you're looking and you're an aspiring product manager, you may not have built a product, but you can still write some blogs about what are the products that you're most favorite and why they're your favorite, and what you would like to improve in those products. That will show that you're really serious about changing your you're really serious about growing into this new role. Doing mock interviews and attending career fairs. These will help you get into that mindset, get into that phase where you feel more prepared. If an opportunity is presented, you will know what kind of requirements of a job has and what you need to do and how you will actually perform on that day if someone comes to you and asks you for a job. Finally, switching to the new role, you may find that there are stepping stones where you want to go, and there are a few things like other transition roles that can help you get there. One such example is that when I was transitioning from being a software test engineer to a software developer, writing production level code, I took an intermediate role as a software test engineer for test automation, writing test automation framework. So I was still doing development. I was learning all the tools and technologies, but I was bringing my knowledge as a software test engineer to the table, and that really helped me build the confidence to go to the next level, which was like software development. The other important thing to remember is unlearning the old role. So if you are coming, for example, if you are coming from a software engineering background and you're going for product management, you might want to shift your focus from how to solution something, how to build something, into what exactly do we want to build, or what business problem do we want to solve. It's a mental shift, and it will take some time, but it really helps if you get into a learner's mindset and not think too much about what you have been doing before and how you have been doing things before. That can give you a really good learning opportunity, and you can also build some credibility around your peers by learning really fast. Set some key performance indicators for yourself and then review them. For example, if you are now working independently and you have been given new responsibilities, you have been given new projects where you are left to perform on your own, you have received a promotion or a pay raise, and this is also an indicator that you're really doing good in your new role, which means you have made the right decision. Asking for your peer and manager's feedback is also a really good way to build that confidence. The first year of your career transition, you may go into that self doubt, if I have done made the right choice or not. But if you keep on reviewing your goals and then reflect on your growth and then have your peers and your managers to provide you feedback, it can really help you know if you are actually liking the thing, and it will make your not just liking the thing, but if you are on the growth part, and if you're learning in growth part, it means that you are really fit for that role, and spending more and investing more time and energy into becoming an expert in that will really help you. So that's what my find your fit and make the move framework is. There are some references that you can use to further learn about how soft skills can set you apart in a career transition journey. And thank you so much. And thank you, Women Tech Makers, for inviting me for this session.
Thank you, Huma, so much. First of all, big shout out to our guests. So don't forget to come into the Career Transition channel. If you do have any questions regarding the talk, if there was a sequence that you couldn't understand, if you want to have something repeated, if you want to hear something more in detail, please post it there. We are bringing Yuma on stage within the next seconds, and I would be happy to talk with her about your questions. Hi, Huma, sorry. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself? And great conference.
I'm doing good, thank you very much. It's very hot in Vienna today. How is it at your place?
I'm in Washington. It's bright and sunny, and it's pretty nice weather here.
Well, talking about, you were on your way to Vienna in March, right? You were at the airport, right? You wanted to fly to our conference, and I think you had to decide within a few hours or something like that you couldn't come, and we had to decide within a few hours whether we were about to cancel.
That's right. I was actually onboarded and the plane was about to fly. So that's when the announcement was made about a possible travel ban from all the European flights because of COVID. So it was literally like 10 minutes before the flight took off, and I had to get off the plane. It was a very interesting experience, and I have published a blog about it. But I'm looking forward to come to Vienna, hopefully soon when this is all over.
If you have published it, maybe you can post also the link, then we can read it.
I'll do that.
I imagine that it's kind of relief that you can give this talk right now.
Yes, absolutely. Because I've been really looking forward to this, and I think Women Tech Makers. I've been part of several different WTM communities and also an ambassador myself. But I'm really impressed the way WTM Vienna is. They have organized this, and your team has been really, really, really awesome in collaborating and coordinating this whole activity. So I was really looking forward. And now I'm really excited that finally, my talk is out there.
I'm so lucky to have you here. Let me start with a question, okay? Lara Warner has posted a question in our chat, and she asked, how big of a role did mentors play in your career so far?
Mentors, they definitely play a very critical role, both mentors and sponsors. So I just wanted to make the distinction as well. So especially during transition and before the transition, mentors, both times I was there was a when I was going into the self-doubt mode, if I can do this, or if I'm a good fit for this, or if I should take the next step. Because once you're already in your comfort zone, you're already established in your career, transitioning can be daunting, and it can make you nervous that if you should do that. That's when mentors play really, really important and critical role. So mentors they can help you identify those skills that are soft skills that I talked about. If they have seen you working, so they can help you in that identification. Sponsors are also very important. Sponsors are people who are not just guiding you, but actually creating opportunities for you. So I would say in career transition, or generally, in career progression, sponsors are also very critical, because they are in that position to create those opportunities for you and take some actions to help you get there. So I would say both are very important, and they have played a significant role in my career journey as well.
Cool. Laura, I hope that answers your question. I have another question. Women, to my experience, tend to plan in advance. They plan with a lot of eventualities. For example, they say something like, yeah, I do want to have a higher position, or I do want to have another job position, but I might also move to another city, or I might also get pregnant. So they always take these eventualities into consideration. Also, although they neither have this higher position right now, nor are they pregnant, for example. Mm-hmm. So the question is, can you rely to such thinking in eventualities? And what kind of advice could you give to other women?
This is a really good question, and I briefly touched on the triggers part. So a lot of my friends, and including myself, there is a phase, especially in early career or when you're starting, those kind of questions, they even, those kind of questions even used to come in interviews as well. Like, when are you planning to get married? Some of these questions are not appropriate to ask, especially in first world countries, but in Pakistan, those questions used to be part of the interview as well. So since those questions are being asked by family, by friends, by everybody around you, so you already start thinking ahead, like, if I can take this job, or if I can take this promotion, or if I should be career oriented or not. So, and they definitely hold you back. They did had an impact on me as well. Like, I do remember that when I was changing between countries, and I was going through like different life events, like getting married, having children. So yes, those questions impacted me. And but finally, what I realized that those life-changing events, I want to find harmony between how I want my life versus what I can do at my job. So I started looking for opportunities that were more flexible in terms of, in terms of location, in terms of flexibility, when I can work. So that's where I would highly recommend that the employer that you choose and the company that you work for also plays a really important role, and the team and your manager itself. So if you are in right environment and that environment is not pushing you to start thinking or taking into account all the different combinations, then you can definitely focus more on your career progression. And that's what I did. It was hard to find a team like that. It was hard to find a company like that. But I would highly encourage that if you are in that position, look for employers who are flexible location wise, and they give you that flexibility and support to harmonize your life as a mother, as a partner, and also as a parent, and also as a tech maker.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering all these questions from such a personal perspective. And thank you that you could find the time to be with us for this little talk right now. We are going to move in our next break.
Thank you so much for
Huma.
inviting, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Huma. Yes, we're starting our next break within a few seconds. We mentioned that we tried to reach out to all the local networks available, and well, they started to reach back to us. For example, we got a really nice video from female founders.
In Vienna. I'm Lena. I'm head of Accelerator at Female Founders, and I'm sending you best wishes from the Female Founders team. I think it's really exciting that you're connecting yourself to other women in tech and supporting yourself and growing together. So I wish I could be there also at the online conference. We at Female Founders, we are a community for female entrepreneurial minds in all over Europe. And whoever of you wants to start a startup or commercialize their research, we would be super happy to also have you in our community. What we do is we host a lot of online events with leading European funds and more experienced founders. We also have a startup accelerator where we connect you to investors, and we also have a leadership program. So whoever is interested in that and wants to kind of join the startup ecosystem in Europe, we have a newsletter that we send out every 2 weeks where we gain all the opportunities that are out there, and sign up for that if you want to join. We would be super happy to have you in our community, and I hope you have a great day at Women Techmakers Vienna.
Vienna is romance. Vienna is loyalty. Vienna is creativity. Vienna is nightlife. Vienna is one of the most attractive capitals in the world. But let's not dig ourselves too deep into the bullshit. Because in Vienna, we're all about the facts. Are you looking to expand your business? Is Vienna your first choice for taking your company to the next level? Want to find out if you're good enough?
So welcome back after this short break. I was very, very much looking forward to the next talk I'm going to announce. This is a talk about how artificial intelligence is enhancing journalism, and it is given by Caroline Stransky. I will tell you a little bit about her. She's a journalist, but before she was a front-end developer, and currently, oh, sorry, I mixed it up. She was a journalist before she became a front-end developer. Sorry, Caroline. She's currently based in Berlin, and she's working for a company which is called Mishkan. But beside that, and again, very interesting in the context of our conference, she's the organizer of the Berlin GS and the Queer GS meetup. On her LinkedIn site, there is an interesting quote of her. She's stating that, I'm reading that now, journalism and computer science represent an unprecedented form of collaboration. I really like this simple phrase because it seems so true. Like every one of us, I guess, has realized in the last years how much journalism and media was influenced by technique and by technical means. But I guess it never came to my mind that the two fields of journalism and computer science have to be seen together, and that research has to be done about the two of them and how they belong together. So again, I'm really looking forward to her talk. I also have to say, before we start with her talk, that Caroline is available in our chat room. She's already quite active in the channel we dedicated to her talk. But unfortunately, she can't come live for a question and answer afterwards. So what you're gonna do is that we will just see how the discussion goes, how many questions arise, how many questions Caroline herself can answer while typing. Anyway, let's see how it works. And well, I would ask her video to come on stage now.
Hey, Vienna, or well, wherever you're dialing in from today. Thank you either way for joining me. So my name is Carolyn, and I'm a software developer and Mozilla tech speaker based in Berlin, Germany. While I work at a startup that has a data science team, I'm still personally a newbie when it comes to actually building intelligent algorithms. So, which means that this talk won't go deep into technical implementations. To be honest, it won't be very technical at all. But I can guarantee you this. This talk will be part love letter, part cautionary tale, and if you haven't thought about this topic before, it'll change the way that you approach and consume news. We're going to go through a lot of material in a short amount of time, so I provided this link with all of the resources that I'm going to mention during the talk. I'll show this again at the end as well, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Anyway, let's get back on track. So today I'm here to talk to you about the effect that artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning has had on modern journalism. And I'm particularly interested in this topic because before getting into tech, I actually used to be a full-time journalist. Transitioning from print journalism to software development made me realize all of the possibilities that technology could unlock, especially in how we think about our news cycle. I gravitated towards AI and machine learning because what I found was just really, really fascinating. It's important to understand, though, that even before AI and machine learning became a modern trend, data has always played a critical role in journalism. Catherine Gishiru, an International Center for Journalists Knight Fellow, put it really well. She said that data can be used to provide deeper insights into what is happening around us and how it might affect us. Combined with traditional reporting techniques, data can help you tell stories in more compelling and innovative ways and give citizens actionable information. She also mentioned that data can help journalists speak truth to power and challenge misinformation. Data means that there's less guesswork about what the facts are. This is a large part about why AI and machine learning practices are slowly being explored, assessed, and introduced in newsrooms. This technology can absorb huge data sets and analyze that information and identify trends. Then also make decisions on what to report and put those same trends into context. Many journalists, however, fear this technology, and understandably so. I mean, they don't want their jobs to become obsolete. But instead of fearing it, I believe that journalists should be learning and understanding it, and it's not just me. According to Maria Ronderos, the director of the Open Society Foundation's program on independent journalism, these technologies can actually empower journalists. It enables them to be more thorough and data-driven and allow them to better report on the increasingly globalized and information-rich world that we live in today. She says that intelligent machines can turbo-power journalists' reporting, creativity, and ability to engage audiences. Following predictive data patterns and programmed to learn variations in these patterns over time, an algorithm can help reporters arrange, sort, and produce content at a speed never thought possible. Human journalists will continue to be necessary, though. They're the ones who, at least in theory, have a specific goal in mind and should be asking relevant questions about the data. Plus, most journalists in the world don't have access to a team of programmers and data scientists, but that's a completely different issue. But the thing is, through software and natural language processing, a common subfield of AI, computers could take over tasks that, while very important, seem pretty mundane to humans, like analyzing these massive data sets, fact-checking, organizing tips, which are story ideas solicited from the public, making rough cuts of video content, and most of the other tedious tasks that I used to do when I was an unpaid intern at my local paper. To put this all into context, I want to show you some of my favorite use cases for how this technology is being implemented in larger newsrooms. I've tried to sort them a bit by the type of technology, but it's pretty much just a giant list. Oops, sorry, that was loud. All right, let's start with bots. So the Washington Post, for example, has a robot reporting program called Heliograph. In its first year, it produced around 850 articles. But what's most notable about Heliograph is its coverage of politics and elections. Heliograph earned the Post an award for its excellence in the use of bots from its work on the 2016 US election coverage. It continues to work on election day reporting for local, congressional, and yes, the 2020 presidential elections. On this slide, I've linked to a report from the Nieman Lab called, quote, "How to Cover 11,250 Elections at Once. Here's how the Washington Post's new computational journalism lab will tackle 2020. It talks about Heliograph as well as other enhanced reporting efforts from the Post. So check it out. I'd recommend it. Forbes took a slightly different approach from the Post. So in 2018, Forbes launched a news site that was powered by a content management system they named Birdie after their founder, BC Forbes. As an AI publishing platform, Birdie is designed specifically for their in-house newsrooms and partners. So I need to manually put this on. All right. Oh, that didn't work. We'll just go like that. So as you can see in this demo, Birdie recommends ways to make headlines more compelling. It can suggest like relevant imagery to accompany stories, and then you can pop them right in there. It helps you assess the reading complexity so that the stories are inclusive. It can provide short, tweetable content summaries, and it can provide real-time trending hashtags and topics to cover. So really a little bit of everything. The LA Times also does a lot of compelling work with AI. For instance, QuakeBot. So back in 2014, a huge earthquake hit the city of Los Angeles, and the LA Times was the first to report on it. Basically because the earthquake happened, the reporter woke up, went to his computer, and published the article in 3 minutes because it was already there waiting for him. The way it works is that whenever an alert comes from the US Geological Survey about an earthquake above a certain size threshold, QuakeBot is programmed to extract the relevant data from the report and plug it into a pre-written template. The story goes into their content management system, where it will be reviewed and published by a human editor. The creator of QuakeBot also wrote this gist about how it works, and it includes various code samples, and just walks you through the whole process. The last of the bots comes from The Guardian Australia. They have an automated system called ReporterMate, which first published an article in early 2019. It works basically the same as the others, but what makes it really special is that it's open source, which I was really excited about. But bots aren't the only thing that AI can do for journalism. It can also dissect data sets, predict trends, and automate tasks. We've seen this with ProPublica and their analysis, hard word, analysis of what various members of the US Congress talk about. They did this by taking thousands of press releases over the course of 2 years. They then trained a computer model to extract what phrases each Congress member uses most frequently. BuzzFeed also trained a computer, but for a very different purpose. They focused on finding and tracking secret spy planes. So the computer used a machine learning algorithm sift for planes with flight patterns that resembled those operated by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. This technology allowed them to report on how the US Marshals hunted down drug cartel kingpins in Mexico, how a military contractor that tracks terrorists in Africa is also flying over US cities, and other topics around aerial surveillance in general. On the other hand, the New York Times uses these technologies for moderating comments in their articles. So back in 2017, only 10% of the Times' articles were open to comments. But even with such a small percentage, a desk of moderators had to examine around 11,000 comments each day. So they're turning to AI to help automate that. They're using a tool called Perspective from Google parent Alphabet's tech incubator to evaluate the comments at scale. The Perspective API uses machine learning models to score the perceived impact that a comment might have on a conversation. With the first model identifying whether a comment could be perceived as toxic to a conversation, aka like harmful or abusive. They also previously implemented the Coral Project's Talk tool to tackle these toxic comments. This utilizes the Perspective API to create a fully customized moderation UI tool specifically built for newsroom use cases. Both New York Times and Wired uses London-based Trint as their transcription service. So Trint's big selling point is that they use voice recognition to transcribe interviews in multiple languages. And something a little bit in between, but I maybe am the most excited about, is this concept from Al Jazeera. In 2018 at Al Jazeera's Future of Media Leaders Summit, there were discussions around robot reporters deploying from drones in war zones. So let me turn this on. All right, so the idea is that the drone can fly into an area that is considered dangerous ground. The drone then deploys a robot that works for Al Jazeera. Maybe you can see its little badge it's wearing. In this example, they show the robot evaluating if it's a bad situation, it dodges an attack from a sniper. They note that human reporters aren't typically trained for these types of environments, not to mention the ethics of sending a civilian into these hostile spaces. But yeah, these are only a few examples. Many other larger news services like Bloomberg, Reuters, Associated Press, Yahoo, and more even globally, are utilizing these technologies as well. There are also organizations whose work is dedicated to merging these two fields, like media and technology, and who are focusing almost entirely on artificial intelligence and journalism. To name a few, there's the Quartz AI Studio. So funded by a grant from the Knight Foundation, the Quartz AI Studio helps journalists use machine learning in their reporting. What I like about their work is that it focuses on making these practices more accessible to smaller media organizations. Think like local and regional papers with limited staff, or maybe even individual freelance journalists. There are also a couple of areas like where Google is focusing on this topic. I'll highlight two of them. So the first is Facets. It's a machine learning data visualization tool from Google People and AI Research. It's open source, so you can play with the data and create visualization of the information being presented. And Google's largest effort is focused on the Google News Initiative, and more specifically, Journalism AI, that they launched at the end of 2018. So this initiative is in partnership with Polis, the international journalism think tank at the London School of Economics and Political Science. It aims to help the news industry use AI in more innovative ways through research and training. Not always AI-centric, but Mozilla has always pushed for a better relationship between the tech and the news industry. So they have a history of partnering with the Knight Foundation, New York Times, Washington Post, and other global news organizations to drive open innovation in news. They also have specific projects like Open News, which connects a network of developers, designers, journalists, and editors to collaborate on open technologies and processes within journalism. This was incubated initially at Mozilla. There's also the Mozilla Information Trust Initiative, a collection of comprehensive efforts to keep the internet credible and healthy. So developing products, research, communities, and partnerships that are all trying to fight misinformation online. So everything I just told you is cool and great, sure, but I don't know about you, and maybe it's because I used to be a journalist, but it makes me question the level of responsibility that we should expect from human journalists who these technologies are assisting. Every journalism student I know was required to read Bill Kovach and Tom Rosensteel's The Elements of Journalism. In this book, they claim that journalism should serve as an independent monitor of power and, quote, offer a voice to the voiceless. They argue that a journalist's first obligation is to the truth because when citizens have reliable access to information that they can trust, they make better decisions. However, there's a disconnect between these principles and the reality when technology is introduced, which is interesting because the internet and journalism actually overlap on many of these foundational elements. But for this collaboration to be effective, there has to be a measure of accountability, which at the moment, and particularly in regards to AI and machine learning, there isn't. Early in this talk, I mentioned how transitioning from print journalism to software development made me realize how much technology can change how we think about our news cycle. The way our society consumes news is rapidly changing, but one thing remains the same. All journalism is biased. So, however, you used to be able to pick up a newspaper and know what you were getting. The Guardian, left-leaning. The Daily Mail, right-leaning. You were aware of these biases and chose your preferred paper despite that. Today, people rarely read a physical newspaper. Instead, they rely on tech products like social media or news aggregators, but many aren't tech savvy enough to decipher how these products are choosing the news that they see. On top of that, there's a lack of communication between the tech and media industries. As gatekeepers to the news, I believe that the journalists creating the content should be at the heart of this collaboration. And we should be able to rely on them to make ethical decisions around data. Traditionally in journalism, there are many layers to ethical decision making. There are long-held industry values for assessing whether a choice is ethical. Making that decision is guided by strictly set editorial standards. Then later, these decisions are enforced by a code of ethics, usually internal or maybe one of the ones like the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics. With AI and machine learning creeping into the news cycle, these ethical foundations require a revisit. As of now, that I know of, there's no publicly available code of conduct that contains principles on the ethical use of these technologies in journalism. Then there's like the ethical question of whether or not it's on the journalists themselves to expose their data source and the algorithm that they use. I'm a big fan of it, but again, I know it's not always an option for everyone. So, okay, before we spiral down an ethics rabbit hole, trust me, it's very easy to do, I want to touch on another question. What does artificial intelligence mean for the future of journalists and journalism? In the true spirit of technology, the future is totally open, but there are some ideas. Journalism AI from the Google News Initiative that we mentioned earlier, they conducted a survey of 71 newsrooms, news organizations in 32 different countries on how they're currently using or can maybe further benefit from these technologies. The results were published in November 2019. The actual PDF is over 100 pages long. You can look at it on this link on the slide. But towards the end, it discusses the future. There are many predictions, including things like better recognition of fake news, enhanced image and video search, and dynamic pricing for ads or subscriptions. But no one knows for sure. One convincing statistic that I'll leave you with is that the Associated Press estimates that AI helps to free up about 20% of reporters' times, giving them more time to concentrate on storytelling rather than fact-checking or research. This percentage is only going to increase, and I at least choose to be cautiously optimistic that this will enable us to craft higher quality journalism. And very quick before I go, I just want to say, think twice when you're reading the news, because it's good to be aware that you might be reading a story that was generated from a bot or an algorithm. If you're in a position to use AI or machine learning to convey a message, make sure you are asking questions and that you understand where that data is coming from and how it's being prioritized. And finally, watch out for more cool things in this space coming very soon. So yeah, that's it. Here's that link of resources. Again, unfortunately, I'm not able to join the live Q&A session, but my DMs on Twitter are open if you want to ask any questions or discuss any of them or share your favorite, bots or algorithms with me. I love to hear it. For now, I'll just say thanks for listening. I never know what to do when it's at the end, so.
Yeah, that was the end. Wow. Caroline, this talk was amazing. I mean, the surreal pictures about these drone reporters, that kind of blew my mind. I don't know, does anyone know whether they are already in action? I didn't get it. Was it only an hypothetical idea of Al Jazeera, or are they already in action? I mean, knowing that Caroline is available on Discord, I'm gonna post this question to her. Maybe she answers within time. And sorry for being rude and looking away from the screen, but I'm having the Discord channel on my second screen, and I can tell you there is a lot going on for obvious reasons, because this topic is really interesting. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit what's going on there for those who didn't join us on Discord. there was one question, where is it gone? Someone asked Caroline specifically about fake news. Obvious, it's such a huge topic right now, especially with the US elections coming up. Blanca was the one who asked that question about the fake news. And what Caroline replied was that she herself doesn't know too much about fake news. I mean, she knows, of course, that it's a big topic, but she's not too deep into it. But she says that there is, of course, global survey going on, and also particularly in how AI will be able to enhance journalism in the future regarding this topic. She posted a link where you can look for further research regarding the fake news topic, and I guess if you just dig deeper into the topic, you're gonna find a lot about that. Oh, and yeah, I asked Caroline whether these drone reporters are already in action, and what she's saying is that they are still developing them. She's not 100% sure about that, but she thinks that they are still in the developing phase. Another thing, what came to my mind during the talk was Caroline mentioned in the beginning her personal experience when she was a journalist and when she had to do this boring tasks they give to the younger ones, like tasks basically an artificial intelligence could do today, and that implies for me that journalists would have more time to do better research and higher quality work. And I'm wondering whether we do see this today in especially those huge papers like the Washington Post or Al Jazeera that Caroline mentioned. If you have any thought about these questions I rose now, also just write it in the chat and let's see what comes out. I will also post my question to Caroline. Let's see. I don't know whether we have guests from Germany seeing us right now, but there's also a big election coming up in Germany next year because it's going to be the election for Angela Merkel's successor. And I wanted to find out before the conference whether also German newspapers are relying on artificial intelligence right now, whether they use technical means for journalism. And we have to take into consideration that also Germany has really, really big journals and newspaper companies like Die Zeit, for example, or also Bild and Stern. They are considered not the highest quality journals at all, but nevertheless. And what I found was that Germany is really reluctant of using AI in journalism. So they started using technical means for, let's say, simpler stories about sports or stories about stock markets, which is kind of easy because stock markets can be calculated and it's easier to process the news about them. But generally speaking, it seems to me as like the English-speaking hemisphere of the world is way more advanced when it comes to this topic. So Caroline responded to my question about whether we do see higher quality journalism in those newspapers who use technical means. And she says, yeah, that she thinks so. So as she mentioned in her talk, the journalists save 20% of their time, which she points out is actually a huge amount for a journalist. And that is a huge amount for doing investigation and higher quality research. She also says that as she herself isn't and wasn't working in such big newsrooms, she can't speak for certain. But based on her assumption, it should be like that. She also confirms that Germany is way more reluctant to adopt these techniques. And most of the use cases she knows are just for comment moderation. Okay, yeah, makes sense somehow. So we don't want to go deeper into these ethic discussions, but now that I'm reading through the chat, I'm really thinking, well, do I want that German and Austrian newspapers would proceed and start finally to work more with AI, or do I think, yeah, having seen drone reporters, that's too awkward for me. I don't want to have newspapers dealing with that. I'm not sure. I have to think about it a little more. Well, we should have a short break right now because our panel is about to start and we need the time to make the changes. So, guys, see you in a bit. Bye-bye. that was a short break because we want to start on point with our panel discussion, which, as I pointed out earlier, is kind of the highlight of today. You will finally get the chance to see our sponsors live and not only talk to them on a chat. We have Cloudflight and AIT on the panel, and we have two surprise guests. They joined us last minute. I think they agreed to joining the panel 2 days ago. So thanks in advance to them. And for moderating the panel, I will hand over this task to Caitlin Chang. And maybe this name sounds familiar to some of you. And if you now think, yeah, Caitlin, yes, you have seen her in the former Women Techmakers Vienna conferences. She was giving a keynote there. She was having a talk already. So you will recognize her. She will introduce all the panelists. And well, there is nothing left to say for me then. Please, Caitlin, please, all our panelists, come on stage.
Thank you, Cornelia. I hope everybody can hear me. Hi, super honored to be on the stage of Women Techmakers again. It has a very special meaning for me. And without further ado, I will just introduce the speakers, the panelists who will also be sharing a really good chat with me today. I think we're seeing them one by one come on stage. This is great. This is like a virtual stage. Yay! So, hi. Here with me today, we have Marianne Bint from Cloudflight and Susanna Wolf from Capgemini, Mike Hanfi from Semantic Web Company. But before we go into, let's say the company stuff, I just wanted to get a personal intro from all of you. So maybe we could spend, let's say, the first 10 minutes in terms of doing, let's say, really like a personal intro. Let's spend maybe like 2-3 minutes per person. So please introduce yourselves but also answer the question, please, to what actually made you personally become interested in this topic of diversity? What was that thing that sort of brought you into this actually really important topic? And how has it been for you within the past few months of Corona in terms of work-life balance? So who wants to start? I would say Mahek.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mehek. I'm at the moment leading the development team at Semantic Web Company. And I'm also one of the main organizers for Women Techmakers today. So hi, and I hope you're all enjoying the event. My journey for diversity is actually, I'm originally from Pakistan and I moved to Vienna 4 years ago. And for me, diversity is not only about being a woman, but it's about more other things that, this different background, different life experiences, different in our ethnicity, nationality, so many things that include that. And when I moved to Vienna, that was actually the thing that I noticed and I feel like, okay. And then when I found Women Techmakers Vienna, I felt like, okay, I'm not the only one that's actually feeling that. There are so many other people around me that have the same feeling. And yeah, that's how I joined it, and that's what diversity means to me in that regard. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice meeting you, Mahek. And Marianne?
Hi, thanks, Kathleen. Can you hear me? I hope it
Yes.
works today. It is a pleasure to be here, and thanks for your question. Actually, I am Marianne. I am working at Cloudflight in the content marketing team, but I am also in a very close cooperation with the people operations team, which is a very special setup because I really didn't experience it earlier at other companies, to be honest, and I enjoy it a lot. Why is this topic personally important to me? Well, I'm also a stranger, so to say. I've been living in Vienna for 10 years, but I am originally from Hungary. So yes, I am a woman, actually in an IT company. I studied art though, so it is also one additional aspect. And I'm working in a company where the average age is 29, and I'm a bit older, and I also have family so I have 2 kids, which is not so common among our colleagues. So I have lots of arguments, actually. Of course, I am a woman. So diversity as a topic is really very, very valid for me personally as well. But I am so lucky that I can work in a company where the topic is really a value and a valid topic too, not only for me.
Perfect. Great to hear. Susie, I know that you go by Susie, right? Not Susanna. That's
Yeah,
too
thank you
official.
so much, Caitlin. Hi,
All
everyone.
right.
My name is Susanne Ruff. Call me Susie. And I've been working as a managing consulting and certified business coach on digital transformation projects for almost 20 years. Now I have the focus on leadership and virtual collaboration. And the new now, well, thanks to the Corona crisis, we have a new now, and I think this will stay. So we have to think about it. And well, I support my clients actually in identify opportunities for contemporary leadership models and roles. And after almost 20 years in consulting, since last year, I've been leading only women team for the first time in people and organization. Well, that's the practice I work now. We are almost, I think we from 60 people, we have 5 men, 6, maximum.
Wow.
So this is completely new. I work in IT, so never experienced that. And that's when I started to actually think about diversity, like, okay, this is nice having women around me, because I was not used to it. So this was new. And during the last month, with the crisis, I've published a couple of articles on virtual leadership and collaboration, digital leadership roles, and female leadership identity, because I've been thinking, and this is nice. So that's a good topic. And well, after having visited the Women Techmakers in 2018 and 19, I'm very happy that I've been asked to actually participate today. And yeah, here we go.
Perfect. Perfect. No, really nice meeting all of you. And I think this is maybe one of the great, let's say, aspects of having these virtual panel talks, because it really just feels like we are having a meeting, right? An everyday Zoom meeting or whatever platform you use. And so actually it feels a lot more intimate. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to, first of all, start with some individual questions. So I'll just ask one question per each person, but then afterwards it's going to be like a wild ride. So like if I ask a question after that, we can all just jump in and then debate, or you can just, like whoever wants to answer it can answer and stuff like that. But so before we go into the wild, wild west, to get ourselves a bit more warmed up, I prepared maybe like one question per each person. For instance, Mahek. So you have you're yourself a software engineer, right? And you've been working in diverse tech companies, IT companies. And I think the feeling that I am getting these days is that, the topic of diversity has been, let's say, a hot topic for, let's say, quite some time now. And I think I can also myself start seeing some changes, especially in terms of, companies. But how is it actually for you working as a software engineer? Are you feeling some sort of a change or some sort of an improvement? How has it been? Is it getting easier being a woman who's advocating diversity in tech? Yes. In what ways? If not, where are we standing?
I will actually start with how this journey started, because it's a long time. And I remember when I started one of the first jobs, I was the only female developer in the team, actually. So there were like 7, 8 guys, and I was the only developer. And I remember entering the room every day, and everyone is wearing like black t-shirts. So everyone was like looking the same, and it was like, I was wearing dress sometimes because I like to dress up or skirt or whatever. And then I think after like joining the company after like 3 months or something, we have a company dinner, and I was so excited. Okay, it's the first company event, and I'm gonna wear a nice dress and everything, and everyone is gonna be look nice and all. And it was the same actually. I entered the room, and everyone was in the black t-shirt basically, and I was like, yeah, and there I felt like, it's good that I'm the developer there, but this feeling of being yourself and this feeling that do I belong there was actually kind of missing there. It was actually like around 5, 6 years ago. But then I also worked in a team which was like 50% female ratio, 50% male ratio. And that was, I have said it well, that was like super amazing experience actually, because it was a quite nice balance and we were working all together, and it's a different atmosphere that basically says that. Yeah, and regarding that, you already mentioned that now it's a hot topic and there's so much awareness already going on, so that's good. But there are still a lot of things that are still needed to be said loud and talked about, like for example, pay gaps, for example. We all know that, and I think that this should be talked more about.
I think that's a really great point. And building on that, Marianne, so you also mentioned that you have 2 kids and you're my role model. Yeah. And I'm sure you hear this a lot and very often, like, especially in the startup scene, it tends to be very young people focused, and a lot of the diversity, let's say, thought is also maybe let's say more or less on, okay, how do we increase the gender quota, so the female quota, but how do you feel is the current status in terms of, let's say, consideration for females, who are also actually not just females, but also employees with families? And what are your personal tips for people with families to survive in this startup world?
Especially during COVID, right? Yeah. Thanks.
Even more so.
Yes. Thanks for asking it. Actually, I don't know whether I have good tips, but I will try to do my best. So I can talk about the situation at Cloudflight. Actually, now as mentioned, it is not so common to have children here, but I'm not the only one who has. And what I experienced when we were all allowed to meet with each other after the first shock during Corona, I would say, then I had a really very interesting conversation, not only with mothers, but also with fathers about family and work. And what I learned that the company really did its best to support us. I have to say, me personally too. So I was asked lots of several times if I need more time for my family, if I need more possibility to be absent and doing fewer things or smaller tasks, and this empathy, what you can learn nowadays, it is crucial. And my tips to have harmonious life, work and life, harmony between work and life. I just emphasize it because, for example, it is also a very interesting thing in our company that we don't use work-life balance as a term, but we have another one, which is actually work-life harmony, or more precisely, we have our values as actions, not as nouns. That's why our value in this regard sounds we synergize work and life, for example. And so my tip regarding synergize and harmony, yes, you should take care of yourself and take a look at you always, and don't work a lot and be with your family. But if you need that, that you can feel that you are useful and your energy is from your work, and you can be empowered thanks to your work, then please do that. And you will find your harmony that way, I am sure. So actually it is very nice that it is possible here.
That's really,
it is a real challenge, a huge challenge.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I think, the keywords of like harmony and empathy for that harmony is definitely really, really important because so I work for Accenture. This is also an IT consulting company. And one of my colleagues, he just became Papa. And I think I read one of the best, let's say, email footers that I've ever read in his email because I got an email from him at like, I don't know, midnight. Yeah. And then of course you're like, whatever. And then you like scroll down and then there, like right at the bottom, he wrote, because of my family situation right now, circumstances right now, I write and respond to emails at a time that's convenient for me. However, this does not mean that I expect you to also write back immediately. Please take the time and please understand that I also understand that you will respond back to me at a time that's convenient for you. Right. And I think that's amazing. So that's like literally, okay, for me, this work-life harmony works in this way. I like to answer emails while I'm trying to make the baby go to sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning. But that's what works for me. It shouldn't be what works for you. And you should understand that I don't expect that. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Susie, before we go to the Wild Wild West, one question for you, because you also mentioned that you worked a lot about, let's say leadership. So how do you think that a leadership position doing that part-time is possible?
That's an extremely nice question because
Yeah,
at the moment I'm
yeah,
working on reducing my own work to 70% and I'll lead a team of
Yeah.
10. So yeah,
Yeah.
it should be possible because I really, really
Yeah.
want to do that. You often hear, especially in bigger companies, okay, in a leadership position, you can't do that. You need to be there every day, every time. And I think this is rubbish. Like you said, with this work-life harmony works for me. And I think reducing my time to 70% gives me 1.5 days per week to do something for me. And I feel after 20 years of consulting, I need this. I want this. If I do something, I do it 150%. And I'm there. But I want to have some time for myself because without a baby, I'm still answering emails. So, 24/7. You probably know that. And, getting some rest, some serenity even for myself will help my team to be better, to be calmer, because if I stress, they are stressed. So I think a leadership position shouldn't be about the time, it should be about how you care. And if you organize things, then you can do everything you want. It's about organization and of course communication, that people should know. Now, if it's urgent, call me. If you write an email, I'll answer on Tuesday because I'm not there on Monday. And if you make that transparent, this will work. But ask me in a couple of months again, then I'll tell you if it will work.
No, but that's really perfect because I think that's, it's not that work-life balance is important only for people with kids, for instance. I think it's important for everybody and also especially for women because I think all of us women have a tendency to, feel the pressure to be like really perfect in every single way, right? And we want to be really good multitaskers. We want to really do this balance thing and do this well and do that well as well and do this well as well. And as a result, we tend to really overstress ourselves. And when that's, actually going on and on and you're in that and you stop thinking about it, that's actually not really healthy for you as a long term as well. So you have to think about harmony for yourself and also have empathy for yourself as well, I think. So I think we can now like move on to maybe like some questions that we have like for the general, for all three of us or all four of us. Maybe like, because I keep thinking that even in my own company, I see that there is a lot of like diversity measures being taken, right? And they are increasing. Can any one of you maybe tell me like, has there been anything that's been very, let's say, noteful, something that you would like to take note of and bring highlight so that other companies could also benchmark from it? Or can you maybe share with us some sort of a like, yeah, they're doing this, or I've seen this being done, but I think this should be done in a different way. Like, let's share, let's say, examples of diversity measures in companies, good or bad cases.
I can start with something. I'm not sure if it's really remarkable or not, but from last few months, we are doing a lot of hirings, and there was a point when we noticed that okay, we are not getting like enough applicants that we are looking for, or especially the female or more diverse applicants. And we put the effort there, and we really looked at our job ads, and that's something like okay, these are like the words that are too intense and that will not attract certain type of audience and things like that. So I would actually personally really appreciate that there are thinking towards, even if you're not part of the company, like job ad is the first thing that's your introduction to the company actually. Yeah.
Marion, do you have anything that you could share with us?
Yes. I considered with which I should start. Actually, I can remember when I started here, we were as a company in the middle of a rebranding process. So we became one brand, one family, but there were actually two different companies previously, one in Austria and another one in Germany. Not a very different culture, but not so similar, though it was a big issue and a big challenge actually, also communication wise and also with the values and the employer branding processes. And I was in the very lucky position to be able to lead some workshops for in order to have our values, the new values. And after this session, we had actually the values we have now. There is the diversity one, or about the diversity, one of the 6 values actually. And it is also an action, not only diversity and inclusion, but we have safe and diverse space. Actually, it is the value very shortly. And in these times, we had a management board of 10 or 11 people, consist only of men. You know, it is a fact, and it is a big thing where we should have contracted as a company. And it was actually last summer or last autumn, I would say, so September 2019. And today, August 2020, we have actually already 12% women of the management. I think it was a long way and the hard issue, but we made it. And I don't say that it is perfect, but I also can experience here in the company during this rebranding and during this new way what we have now, that the company really encourage women also to take part of leadership, but not the highest level, for example, also being team lead or being location lead. We have a lot of offices in Europe, and luckily it is a very, very new news actually. We have a colleague who is a part-timer, who has a kid, and she is very, very motivated and engaged, and she could have a leader position. She is a co-lead for a segment at the company, and she is very, very happy with it. You know, I think these steps are the first and the most important ones, and you as a company can support your employees, the colleagues, and the colleagues will be engaged and very motivated. It is a win-win situation, and diversity, inclusion is about win-win. It is.
But I mean, like, I think that sounds really great, but I'm like really curious, how did that start? right? Because, it has to start at some point. And I think I'm sure, and a lot of in our audience are people who are like, they're maybe like the one woman in a startup, or they work for a really huge company, and they feel that this topic is very important. They want to start it. How can they start it? Is it even possible to start, like diversity measures from like grassroots, from bottom up?
You can. We have and had a colleague. It is also a very nice thing, and also luck a bit because she is also very motivated and is with us for years. And she became a role model in the company. She is a speaker, and she is not a support position. So she is not a woman who is responsible for HR or for marketing or employer branding, like me, for example. She's a developer, So she is really a speaker at conferences, and her topics are especially bias in AI. So actually, it is a very important first step that you have to have a role model somewhere in the company, and you as a woman then can be sure that yes, I can also try and do it after her. And actually, it happened in our company. After that, it was also clear for the men colleagues that it is really matters if we have female colleagues in the management or female colleagues in several leader positions, for example. So it is not about only women. You can do it together with men.
Exactly. I think I totally agree with that. That it's really like leading by example. Actually, that you present yourself as a role model. For example, where I was working, I have a woman tech lead. So she was actually tech lead, and she gave me a lot of confidence to actually, that you can do it. And then she was actually leading by example, and that empowered me to be actually do something out of my comfort zone.
What are some of the things that she actually did in terms of leading by example? Could you share some examples of the leading by example?
Yeah, for example, like it's a nice example. Yeah. Like really by empowering you, first of all, like showing you the ways and paths that okay, it's more about, I think, really about empowering actually.
So empowering, let's say, other female colleagues as well.
Exactly. And confidence and giving this safety around it, that this psychological safety, that you felt belong and you felt like you're always heard actually, and your ideas are always appreciated.
Exactly, because I think that is, of course, like a very, very important factor, right? This thought of female solidarity, of us, like, like I think it was like, let's say 20, 30 years ago, it was very, very often that if you were like, let's say, one of the two females in a company, then you thought like, oh my God, I'm going to like go over that person so that I can be the token woman. That time has completely passed, and thank God. And I think that's one of the very, let's say, strong misconceptions that some of the men still do have in terms of having female colleagues. And I think we should, by showing, like, really show that that is not the case anymore. We're like now used to actually empowering our female colleagues. And through that, there comes even more colleagues in, and it creates a great environment for everybody. And through that, everybody sort of feels, let's say, the advantages of diversity.
And you know what? Being transparent about it and communicate it well also inside the company. For example, we have an initiative within the company which called Present Your Project. We are an individual IT company. Actually, we have individual projects. And we have project leads, and sometimes the leads or the contributors, the colleagues, present their projects. And it is now a new initiative during the summer, also connected somehow these COVID times, that we also present our private projects, because the people are also very active, of course, in their private life, free time. So we have also the opportunity.
Susie's back. Susie's back.
Hi.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Marianne. Sorry.
Power failure in the village. I'm really sorry.
You had a power outage in your village, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Just
we were in
very
the middle of,
shortly,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
very shortly, so thanks to these private projects, we could also learn more about our colleagues who organize the meetup in Linz, for example, for female coders. You know, it is also empowering women, although you do it in your private life and time. But it's also very important to know about it, and it is only possible if you communicate it and spread the word, not only externally, because we are very strong on social media and somewhere everywhere, but it is crucial to have the information also within the company.
Mm. I mean, like, so Susie, we've been talking about, let's say, like, really like showing by doing and inspiring by doing as females already in these organizations. And Mahek gave us a very good example about how she had sort of like a mentor figure who was a female colleague, and she really showed by doing, and she really really enabled and empowered Mahek as well, and that also inspired her. But then I have a question regarding, so what is it for, let's say the older you get, yeah, like it tends to be that you have more and more things that are piling on your plate. You have a lot more responsibility to take care of, maybe even as a leader in the organization, but also within your family and such. And then you start to really feel like, yeah, but I would really like to somehow reshift my priorities and also, let's say, reduce my time, for example, like you, Susie. And it can very often be used against you, right, as a woman. And a lot of male colleagues would say, and I have heard this very often, well, now you're using the woman card, and now you just don't want to work as much as we do anymore. And how can we make you like the lead, or how can you become like the example that everybody would be inspired from? How should women in this, let's say, later stages of life also, let's say, more actively or more effectively become role models? And how can we, let's say, counter these, let's say, not so intelligent arguments that a lot of colleagues tend to have?
If I may answer, because the former what all the colleagues you refer to me probably. So well, that's fine.
Yeah.
As a coach, I encourage my coaches always to ask two questions: who are you, and what do you really want? And if you can answer those two questions, nobody can beat you. You're powerful, and it's like magic. And with the silly ideas like you don't want to work, you're just a woman. For 20 years, I've been trying to be the toughest, the strongest, the fittest, and the meanest leader in an IT world, and it didn't do me well good. In the end, I got fired because I was too tough. They were frightened of me, so they tried to get rid of me, and well, they managed. So now in this.
My God, yeah. No,
It
like
cost them, but
I've
still,
also had the same. Yeah, yeah. Their
but still,
loss.
now for the first time, I can work like I really am, and I really want to be, and I'm not afraid anymore. So if I want to work or do less hours in consulting, that doesn't mean I don't work, because I have 7 horses and 2 dogs, 5 cats, and a house. So I do something. I'm a potter. I'm an artist, so I do something for me. And I think this is extremely important, that you know what is good for you and that you keep this in mind. And as leaders, it is our first task, and the most important task, in my opinion, that you encourage people, and not only women, everyone, to be what they really and who they really want to be. And then they bring out the best of them, and then that they can do magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really great. I mean, like for Women of Vienna, we've also like yesterday had exactly this sort of like, let's say, talk where we said, so we've been thinking so much about what we need to do and what we need to do, and and all of that tends to pile up. But then we also have to think about actually what we want to do. What is it that we want to do? And if we set that clear, then actually all the other stuff of the need that comes from external actually doesn't really matter anymore. You know, what you want to do is clear, then you have set your priorities, and then that's clear, and then you can have your argument for whichever other counter arguments that people who are trying to, let's say, undermine you, you can counter argue that, right? Yeah. How is it actually in terms of, let's say, like in bigger companies, do we have, let's say, any insights in terms of, or have any of you had any, let's say, experiences advising, let's say, bigger companies in terms of, okay, we now realize that we're not really ideal in terms of diversity. We now want to start. How should they set about it? Because the most common thing that you see is, okay, we set a goal of, I don't know, female rate, employee rate, 50%. That's it. How should that be a bit more improved?
Oh, I'm not happy with rates and quotas now. You know, if you want to have a diverse team, hire one. You know, hire the skills and the strengths you want, hire the personalities you want, and don't think about, oh, I need to hire now a female black from Hungary because, you know, this is in my quota. You know, diversity should be something natural, something like, you know, sorry about the lights. You know, it's still pitch black in here because
oh my god,
because about the hire a team. You know, combine strengths, and this should be natural. Well, I'm a stranger in Vienna, by the way, too, because I'm German, and I've been living in the Netherlands and in Australia, and, you know, working there is, I never feel not wanted. And this is, I think, the thing you start with. Make people wanted, make them feel welcome, you know, no matter how they look like or where they are from. You know, just who are they? What can they do to your team? How can they improve your team and make the team better? And if you think about it like that, I think diversity is like, okay, like normal, you know. It should be like that, of course, in a perfect world. But with all these programs, I'm not sure if you really get the best people for the job, because at the moment we are not allowed to hire women anymore because we have so many of them. And, you know, if there's no suitable man, what should I do? Should I hire the second best? No?
Yes, I totally agree with you, Susie. Actually, you cannot organize or prepare yourself in the recruiting session. What you can do, in my opinion, to motivate your people inside in the house, actually, to be a team, to be a community. And if you, as a community, if you, as a company, can be a role model for the outside world, then it will be a natural process that actually others want to join you, because not only because of gender, because of all the factors what we already mentioned, also age-wise or culture, or other things. Not only the gender. Gender is also very important, but it should be somehow natural. And I think it starts always in the house, not outside or out of the office.
Exactly. I think that you should first take care of what you have already inside. And if the people inside don't feel like it, they will never go for anything else, actually, not for diversity, not for anything. If they don't feel like that, okay, it's just my work and I'm coming here and I'm going back. But they don't feel any personal relation or like this connection or discomfort of being themselves, actually. If the internal is strong, it will automatically attract the externals.
But then that leads me to the next question, which is, you know, because I think that sounds really great, but I also see a danger in terms of, let's say, biases, right? Like unconscious biases that we all have, which usually are, let's say, the reason why, although you do think that you are trying to have a diverse team, you don't end up having one, or you do think that you want to recruit in a diverse way, but you actually end up having people who are like completely like you, because there's all these, let's say, selection biases that you select people who are more like you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious if there are any, let's say, successful examples of how you've seen these unconscious biases being, let's say, dealt with in your organizations or organizations that you've seen.
I have a short success story, actually, general about unconscious bias. During the COVID time, we were sure that we would like to live our values, not only written them on our website, but really literally live them. It is really hard to start with it if you are at a home office and you cannot meet the others. But regardless, we started and we decided that we dedicate 1 month for one value, and we will have the diversity value in December, and with a smaller team, not only with HR or marketing, but also with tech colleagues. We formed a team, a group, because we were sure that we would like to work on our unconscious bias. So we will organize workshop series for the company, 5 or 6 people together about this topic and educate each other in order to be aware that yes, we all have unconscious bias, and I think it is the start. If you can start talk about it and communicate it, so it is our short success story. I'm very proud of the team and that they are very, very active. And unconscious bias is very, very important topic, actually, general.
Exactly, because I do think that in some cases, I do know that there's, let's say, pros and cons of having quotas, but the pros of having quotas is that it does somehow force, let's say, the ratio of diversity, and then that does help in terms of reducing the unconscious biases in the company, because you basically end up having a lot of interactions with, people that you haven't had interactions with. Cool. So now time has flown by, and now we have only 3 minutes left. Such a shame, because I would love to continue talking with all of you. Let's maybe end before we end. So please, maybe let's share, each one of you, let's say, like one tip that you would like to share with other female colleagues in tech. What was it that made you come to where you are right now? And what kind of advice would you give to you, let's say, 20 years ago or 10 years ago? Anyone?
I can start.
Okay, if I could talk to myself 20 years ago, I said, okay, stick to what you really want and don't be too tough, be nice. It works as well. You don't have to be as tough as you think, be yourself, and that's enough. Plenty of.
Yeah, just know what you want, or try to figure out what you want, and that's enough, right? And just work on that. And it can be that you want to do 100 things, that's also fine. It can be that you just want to do one thing, that's also fine. But when you know that what you want is there, then you can be like, I'm not going to care whatever other people say about it.
Yeah. Exactly. Don't care about the expectations you think others have.
Exactly, because they don't have it anyway. Right? Maybe your parents, my Asian parents. But anyway. Okay, great tip. Anyone else?
I think the important thing is, actually, I will emphasize on that part as well, that just be yourself, basically. So just don't lose your identity, that who you are and who basically made you yourself, actually. So keep your part with yourself. Always don't change yourself because of the things that are around you, actually. So just be yourself. And you will be wonderful.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
I would only have 2 keywords, actually, empathy or emotional intelligence and collaboration. So what I really believe in it is that you can be alone. You shouldn't do everything alone, and you will find your soulmates, teammates, your community. And it is also a bit about belonging, which was our first talk today. So these are my keywords, actually. And I think it is very important for me now, and also hopefully for later as well.
Amazing. I think especially the keyword empathy, I was going to also mention it if nobody mentioned it. Thank you so much, Marianne. I think we're so like aligned and empathetic towards each other. It's an amazing panel. But seriously, like me really knowing what I want and really, being sure of it. And then also having empathy because we know that other women will also be like that and actually also other men as well. Then I think that really is the first step to having also a very empathetic organization. So with that, unfortunately, we would have to now close the panel. The time is here. Thank you really, really very, very much for participating in this panel. It was really great talking with all three of you. I hope we can stay friends and keep talking once in a while. It was very inspiring. And yeah, so hope to see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you, Kathleen. Thank all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It was great
you.
meeting you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you also from my side. Thank you, Manja. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Susie. And thank you, Caitlin. And those of you who wondered why Susie was away, she really had a power outage in her hometown. Things like that happen. Before we all enjoy our Friday evening, which is about to start, I would like to say a few last words. Oh God, this sounds terrible, right? I promised you to tell you a little bit how we're going to do our breakfast tomorrow. So again, tomorrow's session starts at 8:30 Central Eastern European time. And for those who want, we start with a breakfast, which will last for 1 hour. What we're going to do is we all going to meet in the breakfast channel on Discord. This is the channel you find down in the row, and be aware it's an audio channel. That means you click on it, you're going to be inside the channel with your voice, also audio, of course, yes. And we're going to share our thoughts, we're going to talk. Those of you who want to join later, the first talk is about to start at 9:30. Well, I hope there are no questions left regarding the program tomorrow and regarding our breakfast. I would like to finish with a few highlights that I have had during this day, and I would like to tell you what stuck or what will stick in my head and what I will take away from today's session. And one image that will stay in my mind was this map that Huma showed, where she depicted her career path. That was amazing to see what can happen. And it's always interesting to see how interesting stories look when you look on them from a longer distance or from a broader perspective. Also, Caroline's talk, well, I said it before, this drone reporters, they blew my mind, and I'm curious when they will finally be ready to report for us. Also, I was impressed how many newspapers Caroline listed, like how many, oh, this light, wow, that's really, you see that it's getting later and the sun is shining from a different angle into my living room. Well, I was amazed how many newspapers are already using it, and basically every big name showed up. And also the panel we heard right now, that was amazing. I could have listened to it for a longer time. It's so sad that we have to close, especially this ideas that came up, that you should try to be yourself, that you don't have to force yourself to be tough and to be rude or tough enough, because like Susie said, it might even lead to the fact that you're getting fired. Yeah, it was a pleasure having this conference with you. It was a pleasure following all the talks that were going on Discord. It was a pleasure looking on how people networked, which questions arose, and how discussions moved on from a single question and then extended. That's it, lovely ones out there. Enjoy your evening. I'm gonna have a beer right now and see each other tomorrow at our breakfast where you can meet the whole team. Bye bye.